Everybody, I am Pops, and yes, I've been reviewing movies for over 20 years, and for some reason, I've never seen this. And then for like the last 18 months, I've had this on my radar screen. I don't have a copy, and every time I tried to find it, it didn't have English subtitles, or it was dubbed, or something that was wacky, and I wasn't going to get a good version of the film for my first watch through. But this is my first time watching Oldboy, the original Korean film from 2003. Choi Min Sik, I think is how you say things. If I butcher other names or elements of the film, I apologize, but I have to be honest, this was highly recommended by multiple people. Got to give it up to Viet. He was at the top of that list, uh, hounding me. Why haven't you? I can't believe you've never seen it. So here we are. Um, Oi Dae-Su is his character. He is this drunk. It's played for comedy, how drunk he is and over the top he is in this opening sequence with the police station. And then once his friend comes and gets him out of jail, or well, gets him, they kind of keep him in a lobby. Um, Basically, he gets kidnapped, and then basically he just disappears. And you have this incredible sort of like imprisonment element to the film. And I didn't know anything. I went into this thinking this was probably some sort of martial arts film. It was sort of like it's Korean. I've seen images. Never. I didn't want. I don't. I didn't want to watch the trailer because I knew I wanted to see it. So didn't know what to expect. And right away, those first portion of the movie, this whole sequence of him losing his mind, being trapped in this little tiny room, hallucinating with the ants that are coming out of his arm, and dealing with the food and all of these different elements. He's obviously been drugged. They set him up to be the fall guy for the murder of his wife, the disappearance of his child. And he finds it out because his only sort of like access to the world, if there is one, is through this television. And that's all he does all day. He has television, right? And he finds out that he was framed and he's sort of like just trapped there. And you just end up with this crazy journey. He attempts to check out at one point, but they kind of get him and put him back together, so to speak, catch him in time. He ends up starts practicing martial arts and other things against the wall, whatever. He tries to make an escape tunnel, those kinds of things. But like I said, 15 years before he gets out. And when he gets out, now our journey is going to begin. And we end up with like a revenge story. He quickly meets a waitress at a restaurant, and you have again another one of these just I don't know about any of you. I have never seen someone even try to eat a live. I thought they always killed them. He wanted to quote eat a live animal. He just grabs this thing and bites it, and it's still wiggling, right? Because they cephalopods are like that, right? And it's just even he collapses, his face just goes. Or you can see one of the tentacles is still moving. I was like, wow, this movie is so off the chain. I was so blown away and hooked by these. It's sort of like this peak and valley in this movie. Like it will be very slow and detailed and character driven, and this sort of like commentary on this person's collapse from humanity to try to finding humanity to basically being like an animal in different parts. There's all this stuff happening, and then you end up with these moments that are just like, oh my gosh, what has happened? What is going on in this movie is so crazy. So that was one. The octopus scene was just freaking great. I think I rewound that and watched it like 3 times because I wanted to really it's like, "He ate this thing," and I guess there was a quote 'cause I went to look it up, and I guess that they asked the director or someone, and he's like, "Yeah, well, do you feel bad for the animal or whatever, do you feel bad about having him do this or whatever?" And like, "No, I feel bad for I feel bad for the octopus." It's like, "Yeah, why?" Um, so then once he basically ends up trying to piece together and he befriends this waitress. He's trying to piece together clues to figure out who his kidnapper is, try to enact revenge, those kinds of things. And uh, you end up in this thing where he finally gets to where the prison people are, like this hotel type place where he was held captive. There's tons of rooms, and you end up with this crazy one shot fight scene. And obviously, Daredevil in Netflix is kind of that become this sort of like the pinnacle of this type of scene. But this corridor scene in 2003 on a nominal budget. He's not obviously a professional martial artist like the way Tony Jaa was in Ong Bak or something like a Jackie Chan movie or something like that. It's so Jet Li. Um, I know there were missed punches and missed kicks and things like that. There's tons of missteps, but I was having a blast. I watched that sequence at least a couple times. I had to look up pieces of it, and yeah, the CGI knife or whatever the knife, but for the most part, that is just a feat. And I have to give a film 20 years old that a Korean, a low budget film. It was like made for like $3 million. I don't know how exact accurate the figures I found were, but it's showing that it was 3 million and made the box office is about 17. But from what I understand, the cult aspects of this film, people that are buying it digitally or physical copies, probably they've made significantly more money. Um, love that sequence. I couldn't believe the sequence is completely nuts. Um, and then you end up with the romance where he and the wait. And I have to admit, if there was a negative in the film for me, that's probably the one because it was like very early on, she was all like into him and it was all sort of abrupt and for no reason. I didn't quite get it. Massive age difference and he hadn't done anything. She really has issues, is kind of how I felt. And again, he's on his revenge journey, and you end up with his peaks and valleys of he finally finds the person, he's got him cornered, and it's like he tells him this long-winded story about having a bomb, a device that will shut off his pacemaker in his chest to kill himself, and and if he can figure out why he was kidnapped, then he'll do that, and then or he's going to take care of this waitress, this girl, this who's now become like a love interest, right? That's kind of what she is. Her name is Mido. Um, who's fantastic, by the way. I'm not trying. I definitely don't want to make sure that I make sure I'm clear that all the performances are fine. I didn't have any issues. Uh, so anyway, I loved all that, and then I love how through this process of him piecing together, you end up with like this crazy backstory. They go to like this. There's this. His friend has like an internet computer cafe, and they start figuring out they'd gone to high school together. And this guy who got him, Lu Wujin, what his link is to the story and things like that. So before I get too far into the spoilers, I thought I would pull the trailer up real quick here and let's just go through some of it. So like this. So first, this is look in the poster and all that. That is the only thing I had to go on. So I didn't even know these are like girls' glasses that he got from some lady. That's her in the background, like giving some cop beef. I was like freaking. I was like, I this the first portion of this movie has like it had like Tarantino vibes. It had just Cohen brother vibes. It has just all these like you're not supposed to feel comfortable like at all and totally like off kilter. So I was all in, man. I was having a great time. Um, let's see here. Let's jump ahead to something else here. This is the octopus. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe this scene. I was with her. I was like, what is happening? He's just going to town with this octopus. Watch its tentacles. Wraps it around his hand. Now, I will be honest. I wish, well, first of all, I'm so glad I never watched the trailer because I would have been really disappointed that they had spoiled this in the trailer. I think they probably should have just shown just a quick, he grabs the octopus and bites it, thinking that maybe it was an attack or some weird. But the fact that they show so much of it would have been a disappointment. I didn't have that experience, man. I sat here like, what? Holy cow! So yeah, let's watch that again. I sorry, I want to relive this. This is freaking great. Because her reaction is like what was my reaction for sure. He just grabs it. Look at that face. Oh man, that's freaking great. Just just chopping away on it, man. So and just so you guys know, I'm recording this within like 2 hours of finishing. So it's not like I've even had a lot of time to process much. This is literally just emotional word vomit coming in your direction. So anyway, so that was my thing with this. This was crazy, man. Yeah, this was my face too. Like what? And then I rewatched it again. And when his face goes down, it's still wiggling, man. I don't know if they show it in the trailer or not. So okay. Let's see what else we got in the trailer. Okay, so this is that corridor scene. See, some of it was really good. Like he I mean, now obviously it's ridiculous because you end up with like a mob and you've got 6 or 8 people punching, kicking. Well, they would just kill you, right? And at least knock you unconscious and breaking ribs and everything like that. So, um, but I would have to again. I was having fun with sort of the absurd of taking on the mob with a hammer. Like, wow, this is crazy, and it's all one shot. I got to be honest; it's so well thought out and interesting. I love how it's lit. Um, he misses people at times, and just they're missing him at times. And there's one point where he kicks a weapon aside. I'm like, dude, pick that up too. Use 2 hands. So, um, okay, so yeah, this is later in the film after the big reveal of kind of like he's piecing together what's going on. Um, let's see if there's anything else here we can really get our head around. Okay, this is okay. So at the end of the film, and I will admit that the ending was so complicated and long and drawn out. I was like, oh my, because I kind of felt like that she kind of maybe she was somehow related. There, I felt like she was very key to the twist. Like I knew that. So that's kind of where we're going. Um, so the twist is when the guy that kidnapped him, uh, um, Lee Woo-jin, uh, they were in school together. He slept with his sister, and Dae-Su saw this and then started talking about it. Like, dude, he freaking slept with his sister, man. Now, the rumor mill, because he leaves school, he goes off to somewhere else. He's totally the degenerate smoker, just a horrible person. So the rumor mill kind of picked up with it, ran with it. They had her pregnant. They had all sorts of stuff, and it leads to her self deletion. That's what we find out. So he finally tracks all this down and has this big confrontation. Like that's what that's what kind of got us to this point. I'm trying to find a shot of the guy. I don't even know they show him in the trailer. Then they just don't show him. They show him in the background in this thing here, but um, so that's the backdrop of the big twist. Is okay. Well, that's what happened. So he shows up. We're being confrontational, and you've got the martial arts dude there is like on the surface going to dispatch him pretty easily. At least it appears. Um, but come to find out, there's so much more to the disturbing elements of this. One guy he gets shot in the head and all that kind of stuff. So it's completely bonkers. And then the twist itself goes so much worse than that. And I was like, whoa, okay, I see what you did. Um, this is the plot twist scene here. Um, and I do want to say I love the way they shot this movie. Like it's so beautifully done because of use of foreground, background, set design, costume changes. There's just so many elements to this movie that's just done well. This is such an underrated film. Probably it's on my I added it to my most underrated film list of all time kind of thing. It's definitely in that category. Um, and I have a greater respect for the 2003 movies because there's other good movies, and this would not have been something I would have thought of, but I would be on that kind of like best of list kind of thing. This is incredible. So what was weird about this shot, or at least I thought, was how like look at the smile on his face. Look at his approach to everything. He's very full of himself that he was able to pull off the twist, right? Um, and you kind of end up with this backstory of what actually happened and them talking through how she was drugged too and what's actually going on, and come to find out it's his daughter. So they have slept together. There's a recording of them sleeping together. It's quite like I said, she was really like oddly like I want you to be happy. Am I making you happy kind of stuff? So it just makes it so like you're like, oh gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And his it's so well portrayed that you feel the sort of like the descent into shock and disgust. Look at his face. Like you just feel it knowing that it's all coming to head. And this guy, and what I love about this guy is so Lex Luthor, man. This guy plays up like an alpha. He's changing clothes. He's just sort of like very flippantly, just like, yeah, this is what we did. We used hypnosis. So we manipulated you. We manipulated her. Why did you think that you wanted to go here? Why did you think you wanted to go to this restaurant? Why do you think you wanted to have an octopus? And then you did this and you said that. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And this is what they did. He's got pieces together, this whole story. By the way, there's some great flip phone action in this movie. So, and then just shots like this were just so well done, where it's like a split screen between then and him telling the story now. That is, oh, master kiss. That's so good. That's so good. And you just kind of go through this whole big thing. And like I said, he's just getting decked out, and it's like I said, just and look at this, like this way he looks out, like it's almost like a sitcom shot, right? He just sticks his head out like it all, like the question isn't why did I keep you for 15 years? It's why did I let you go? So you're constantly turned upside down too in the audience. You think you've got things together, but it's so much more complicated than even if you thought some of this was true. So anyway, yeah, they go through the big reveal. Here's a bleach head. How all that plays out, and the big box with all the things that you find out it's the daughter. And I don't think this shot has anything that's like it, so we'll stop there. But um, it goes so much worse because it's like then you end up with like comedy again because then he's like, "I'll be your puppy." He's on the ground. He's wagging his butt. He's doing all sorts, and you're like, I don't understand this movie. It's so insane. And then I guess he gets the idea. I don't understand why that would be the solution, I guess, but he decides to uh, cut his own tongue out and goes for it. And you're like, holy cow. I was like, oh my God. And then the other guy gets on the elevator and he takes care of himself because the guilt of the fact that it was not a self deletion by his sister. They were together and he just drops her over the side. And you're like, wow, this movie is nuts. It is not what I expected. Not a martial arts movie. It is an incredible uh, examination of humanity and what we would do to ourselves and other people and just evil. Oh my gosh, it's completely nuts. So it takes me to the final sequence, which I have to be honest, I'm not particularly thrilled. I didn't particularly what love the that very final concept, right? So he basically goes back to the hypnotist and says, I just want you to take my memory away. Because during the sacrifice scene with the tongue and all that, they agree not to tell the girl. So she's never going to know what actually happened and that she's in love with her dad and she's been banging the dad and all that kind of nonsense as a revenge play for what happened over here. They go to the hypnotist, and the hypnotist does the same kind of thing they did before and just takes away his memory and whatever. And you have this like kind of like crap eating grin that he doesn't really know that it's the daughter at the end. So it was a good twist. I didn't expect that for sure. I'm not sure I like it. I almost wish it just got stuck in more evil, but I don't know, man. Wow, this movie is crazy and brilliant on every level. I don't even know what to say. Like it's this. I'm and the music. Oh my gosh, the score for this movie and the use of music to play with your emotions is it's just incredible. The Vivaldi stuff is used in this perfect way, like Reservoir Dogs was, like the way that Tarantino does. Incredible film. Um, like I said, I know it did. I know it has had a lot of accolades and things like that. Um, because this movie is not like it doesn't fit anything. Like it's not a martial arts movie. It's sort of like a mystery thriller, but it's very slow and methodical. But yet it's like disturbing and uncomfortable, like Seven would be, or something like that. Because it's all about, I don't know, the character's anguish, this constant anguish, this torture that he's gone through, and how through all of this bloody brutality that he's trying to do, and he wants to have revenge. he keeps getting further and further into his own madness and the situation over basically telling the truth about what had happened, and then the gossip circles made it worse and led to the tragedy, and he has to pay the price for that. It's such a complex, complicated story that makes the morality of all of this movie, what it's actually trying to say, so complicated and interesting, you know? Uh, I know there has been, the Spike Lee remake with Josh Brolin. I really am like I have, like, negative desire to see it now because this is so good. I can't imagine they can hold a candle to it. So I feel, um, like a great sense of aversion of wanting to do this because this is such a magnificent I gotta be honest, I'm still sort of in shock. I'm having a hard time with what did I just sit through? Um, 'Cause it took me the betterment of at least 3 hours to do it because I stopped it, I'd rewind and watch something else again, things like that. So I'm so blown away by this movie. It is so insane in so many different ways and also such great ways. So, haven't really done a reaction video like this or something I've never ever seen that I should have seen. So, I don't know. You guys tell me if you like that or not. Do we see more of them like this? Um, yeah, because my brain is still like right here, like, what is happening? It's supposed it's a freaking live octopus, man. And I know I'm supposed to be hung up on the incest storyline, but I was really hung up on like the fight scene and the choreography and cinematography and the musical score and all that. And I'm hung up about the octopus. So I guess I got octopus on the brain. I don't know what to say. So, all right, you guys tell me what you think. I am Pops. Take care, everybody.